When talking about the Napoleonic Wars, the image that often might appear in people's minds is that of Napoleon leading an army of Frenchmen throughout his conquest of Europe. Though that image is not entirely wrong, it was not soldiers from France alone that fought in his armies. Men from throughout Europe fought with Napoleon in his wars. Before the French Revolution, a number of foreign units had fought for France, notably the Swiss mercenaries, who were paid more than standard French troops. The Swiss Guard, for instance, defended the Tuileries Palace during the Revolution and were mostly wiped out during the battle there. During the Revolutionary Wars, the army consisted mostly of Frenchmen, but after Napoleon's rise, the number of foreign troops that fought for or with the French rose steadily. The invasion of Russia saw the height of foreigners fighting with Napoleon. After the disastrous retreat and the Battle of Leipzig, the number of foreign troops fighting with the French was reduced substantially, however, either due to losses during battle or due to nations switching sides. This video will cover some, but not all, of the different nations or nationalities Napoleon was able to gather troops from. The Dutch, originally an enemy of France during the Revolution, became a French vassal state after British and Austrian troops were driven out of the area in 1795. It would then be reorganized into the Batavian Republic with a not insignificant amount of pro-French sentiment in the new nation. Later, Napoleon's brother Louis would be installed as King of Holland, replacing the Batavian Republic in 1806. In 1810, however, the kingdom would be annexed entirely by France. As an ally or part of France, a large number of Dutch troops served in Napoleon's armies, most notably 2 battalions of Dutch Guard foot grenadiers which served in the Imperial Guard. After the retreat from Russia, very little of the grenadiers remained, however, so Napoleon disbanded them. A large number of Dutch also served in a variety of French regiments such as the 123rd, 124th, 125th, and 126th Line Infantry, or the 33rd Light Infantry. Many Dutch deserted in 1814, and in 1815 Dutch troops fought with Wellington at Waterloo against Napoleon. The Belgians. Around 5,500 Belgians served in France's army between 1792 and 1794, mostly originating from French-speaking areas. However, that number would expand rapidly after France fully took control over the region. The Austrian Netherlands, modern-day Belgium, was officially annexed by France in 1797, after France succeeded in pushing out coalition forces from the area. After its occupation by France, around 10,000 Belgians each year were conscripted into the army, out of a total population of around only 3 million. From 1796 to 1799, France demanded that 30,000 Belgians be conscripted. However, the measure was extremely unpopular and led to the Boerenkrige revolt in 1798 that lasted several months before being fully suppressed. Around 112,000 Belgian, Walloon and Flemish soldiers would serve in either the Revolutionary or Imperial Army. As a result, a large number of French regiments would have Belgian troops mixed in them. The Italians. Italian troops can be divided into 2 main groups: the soldiers from the Kingdom of Naples under Murat, which was a French client state, and soldiers from northern Italy, largely made up of Piedmontese troops. Under Murat, the Kingdom of Naples army numbered somewhere between 45 to 60,000 men. Several battalions served in Spain from 1808 to 1811, but were all sent home by General Suchet after poor performance. Generally, Neapolitan troops performed poorly, and the kingdom would end after Murat's defeat during the short Neapolitan War in 1815. In contrast to the generally poor performance of the southern Italians, troops from northern Italy, mainly Piedmontese in origin, were more successful. A large number of Italian troops served in a number of French regiments such as the 111th Line Infantry. North Italian troops fought in Prussia in 1807, Spain, and in the invasion of Russia. Like the rest of the army, Italian troops suffered heavily during the invasion. Out of around 27,000 Italian troops, only between 1 to 2,000 returned. Swiss. The Swiss had long held a tradition of acting as mercenaries in foreign armies, often fighting under the banner of France, or against it. During the Revolution, however, mercenary troops were not allowed in the citizen army of France. Napoleon would later make use of Swiss mercenaries in his wars, however. He maintained 4 regiments of Swiss infantry. Swiss troops generally performed quite well in combat, making them worth the cost to maintain. The Croats. Under Napoleon, 4 regiments of Croat infantry served France. However, the name Croat is not entirely accurate. Not all of the men in each regiment were Croatian. They came from a variety of places throughout the Balkans and Europe. Croat regiments also served in Austria's army under the Habsburgs. Irish Legion. In 1803, the Irish Legion would be created in preparation for the expected invasion of the British Isles. However, due to British naval dominance, the Legion would not see combat for a number of years. Parts of the Legion were not made up of Irish, instead consisting mainly of deserters from a variety of places. The 1st Battalion of the Legion would fight the British in 1809 during the Walcheren Campaign, an attempt by the British to help Austria during the War of the Fifth Coalition. Almost the entire 1st Battalion would be captured. The 1st and 2nd Battalion would also serve in Spain, at one point even guarding Napoleon during his stay at Burgos. In 1811, the Legion would become the 3rd Foreign Regiment. Regiments as strangers, or foreign regiments. The foreign regiments were made up of men from a wide variety of nationalities from throughout Europe. Though some were volunteers, others were former prisoners of war. The foreign regiments were not great overall, and could not be fully relied upon. As a result, they were mostly placed away from the main areas of fighting in secondary theaters to the main conflicts. Germans. A large number of German states fought with or against Napoleon throughout the Napoleonic Wars. In 1806, the Confederation of the Rhine was created, consisting of 16 states, and protected by Napoleon. It was primarily a military alliance and a buffer for France. Huge numbers of German troops fought in Napoleon's many wars, to varying degrees of success. The kingdoms of Bavaria, Saxony, and Westphalia were the 3 biggest states in the Confederation. All of the states contributed a varying number of men to Napoleon's army. Overall, German troops were considered as good soldiers quality-wise, though their performance often varied. During the invasion of Russia, over 100,000 men from the various German states, excluding those from Prussia and Austria, marched with Napoleon, and like the rest of the army suffered large losses during the campaign. After Napoleon's defeat at Leipzig, the various German states in the Confederation abandoned him, and joined the Allies as the war moved into French territory. Spain. Once an ally of France, was caught in a complicated position after Napoleon put Joseph, his older brother, on the Spanish throne. Large portions of the army refused to follow Joseph, and he struggled to control even part of the country, despite massive French assistance. What few units remained were of dubious loyalty. The units that could be relied upon most for Joseph were those either made up of Frenchmen, or with a number of non-Spanish mixed in. The Polish. The Poles were Napoleon's single greatest ally during the Napoleonic Wars. Under Poniatowski and even after his death at Leipzig, they fought with Napoleon until the very end, even as most of his other allies abandoned him. In 1795, Poland was fully partitioned between Prussia, Russia, and Austria, ending Poland as a state. However, the Polish people did not give up on having their own nation. Many Polish troops volunteered in French units during the revolution, because France's enemies were enemies to the Polish people as well. Polish units were formed in 1797 in northern Italy, to fight the Austrians under French command, and the number of Polish troops fighting for France would rise as time went on. In 1807, after fighting for France and Napoleon for many years, the Duchy of Warsaw was created as a state for the Poles. Polish troops would continue to fight with Napoleon throughout the rest of his wars, contributing over 100,000 men to the invasion of Russia, the largest number of troops contributed by a single state besides France itself. Even after Polish troops were decimated in Russia, they continued to fight with Napoleon. At Leipzig, what remained of Polish troops were destroyed, either being killed, wounded, or taken prisoner. Poniatowski led the rear guard, trying to buy time for the army to retreat across the single bridge that acted as the army's route of retreat. He would die trying to cross the river after the bridge was prematurely destroyed, trapping a huge number of men on the wrong side of the river. What little remained of Polish forces continued to fight with the French until Napoleon's abdication. After Napoleon's return in 1815, the only significant Polish force left to fight with him was the Polish Lancers. The Polish people tied their fates to Napoleon in hopes of getting back their country and in maintaining its existence while being surrounded by enemies. Poland during this period rose and fell with Napoleon. This video is not a comprehensive list of all the nations and soldiers of different nationalities that fought with Napoleon. It does serve, however, to highlight how it was not soldiers or people from France alone that followed him to glory and defeat. This video is my first attempt at making something for YouTube and is by no means perfect. If anyone notices a mistake or would like to expand upon something I have mentioned, then please talk about it in the comments section. In the future I might narrow my attention to talk about a specific section of this video. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day.